Back in the early 1950s, there was a serial killer on the loose who would stab his victims, and after stabbing them, killing them, he would leave a clue behind in the form of a word. One word was left upon the body. The words were torn out of fashion magazines, of all things. That's the only thing that the police had to go on. They knew that the fashion magazines the words were torn out of, you could buy at the local newsstand. So they sort of suspected the newsstand owner possibly could have been maybe the murderer. Well, they knew they really couldn't prove anything until they found the murder weapon, the knife, the murder weapon of choice. So what they did was they brought in a psychic to try to solve this mystery. I'm not sure if you believe in psychic ability to be able to solve crimes, but Betty Brown, the lady they brought in, should be the first to tell you that I'm not a psychic. I simply trust the magic crystal that I always have around my neck. What Betty would do, she would take the crystal off, put it in her hand, let the crystal guide her hand as she would mix the words up upon the table. She might decide to switch two of the words around. She might just deal. She might switch. She might switch again. You never knew what she was going to do because she was guided by the crystal. This went on for several days, Betty trying to unscramble the words, but suddenly the serial killer struck again. This time it was Betty Brown that he killed. The killer knew that Betty was on his trail, so he got rid of Betty. May she rest in peace. But you know, that detective that was on the case, he remembered that Betty always told him, I'm not psychic. My powers come from the crystal that I always have upon me. So the detective decided, why not try it himself and try to figure out who was the serial killer. Would you do me a favor? Would you play the part of the detective? Would you hold this for me? And just let the crystal sort of guide you to tell me when to deal and when to switch. Whenever you say switch, I'll switch the right here. Oh, that was quick. Okay, I'll switch the words around. I'll deal until you tell me when to switch. It's really, again, right there, okay? And again, okay? And again, okay? It really is up to you. Let's do it one more time to really make sure that the words are truly scrambled in the order that you want them to be scrambled in. I'll deal, you simply say switch. There. Switch now, okay? And the last time, switch again. All right. Now you have to admit, thank you by the way, I'll take that back. This goes back into the vault for safekeeping. I'm going to lay the words out in the exact order that you put them in by telling me when to switch the words around or not to switch the words around. And I think that what you're about to see is definitely positive proof that psychic ability, the mystic crystal, did solve this case. As if you read the words in order, you will never catch me until you look inside the church wall. You will never catch me until you look inside the church wall. And do you know that that's exactly where they found that knife? 2 blocks away from the newsstand, inside the church wall. It did turn out to be the newsstand owner, and he was convicted of many, many murders, and to this day I think he's still on death row. Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you for helping. You solved the mystery this time with the help of the mystic crystal, and thanks for watching. Let's take a quick look at the setup. The setup is going to be, you will never catch me until you look inside the church walls. That's the catchphrase. You will never find me until you look inside the church walls. Then you want to reverse the order of everything. By the way, these are printed off just on my computer, just a different colored background with the words printed upon them. And the fashion magazines, I found those on the internet also, which you can print off and shrink them down and make them business card size, as you can see here, making them easy to carry around. Well, anyway, after you reverse the order, this is how you bring them out, and then of course you have the crystal. So what you want to do is explain the stories, show the words, The words are in reverse order, so they're not going to make much sense unless people know what it's supposed to say and they can read it backwards. So after showing the words, what you want to do is turn them over and reverse the order again, showing the backs or the magazine's backs to them. And this sets you up for the rotation that you need to be in. Now, of course, we're using the Paul Curry swindle principle, where no matter where they say switch, the cards are always going to be in the right order. So the first time you do it, you explain what they have to do. You hold the necklace, you deal them down. Doesn't matter if you switch or not. You can switch as many times as you want. Believe it or not, it's confusing. It does look as though it would mix the order up, but it doesn't really. They're in the perfect order that they need to be in. So after you demonstrate what you want them to do, you give them the crystal to hold on to, and then you deal the cards. They tell you when to switch at any time. It doesn't matter. They can say switch every single time, or they can say switch never. It doesn't really matter. You just deal the cards and switch whenever they tell you. You do it once, you do it a second time. Just there to there, another switch, and down. And now that leaves you set up in perfect order, so if you lay them across 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4, it's going to work out automatically. It will say, you will never catch me until you look inside the church walls. You will never catch me until you look inside the church walls. And that's where they found the murder weapon, the knife, and the case was closed. It works just like magic.